Born out of the initial need for air mobility to convey Nigerian troops for peacekeeping operations within and beyond the African continent, the Nigerian Air Force was established by an act of independent indigenous parliament in April 1964 to serve four main purposes, namely to achieve a full complement of the military defense system of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, both in the air and on the ground, to ensure a fast, versatile mobility of the armed forces, to provide close air support for the ground-based and seaborne forces in all phases of operations, and to ensure the territorial integrity of a united Nigeria, to give the country the deserved prestige that is invaluable in international matters. However, the process of building the basic structures and manpower that formed the foundation of what is now the Nigerian Air Force began in 1962 when the initial batch of personnel was selected for training in Ethiopia, Canada, India, and Germany, among other countries. From this seed of officers and men, the Nigerian Air Force has grown over the past 56 years to become what it is today, a service that has effectively and efficiently conducted air operations in support of multiple internal security operations across the country, as well as projected air power beyond the shores of Nigeria to Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, the Gambia, Senegal, Mozambique, Malawi, and Zimbabwe, among others.
Barely 3 years after the establishment of the service, we were drawn into the Nigerian Civil War, and the Air Force participated actively in supporting the effort to keep Nigeria as a single united country. In those days, from the stories of some of our retired officers, it was a service that was not really prepared for that, for the Civil War. It was a service that was just trying to get fully established, and suddenly the Air Force was dragged into Nigerian Civil War. So, but looking back at where we are coming from to today, I think we have made substantial progress. Not only in terms of the size of the Air Force. We used to have something that was just probably a command, which was primarily involved in training activities. But today we have 6 commands, specialized commands. You have the Tactical Air Command, you have the Special Operations Command, you have the Air Training Command, you have the Ground Training Command, you have the Mobility Command, and you have the Logistic Command. So even in terms of the structure of the Air Force, the service has witnessed substantial expansion. In terms of capabilities, this was an Air Force that was rolling bombs from the cabin of an aircraft to drop overhead the Biafrans during the Civil War. But today we have a service that can project power better than it used to in its early days. We have young officers in the ground control systems, controlling unmanned aerial vehicles and flying those unmanned aerial vehicles to distances that are well beyond 200 to 250 kilometers and dropping the same bombs. So I think in terms of even capability, we have made substantial progress. In terms of platforms, initially we were using DC-3 to fly. Today we have the F-7s, we have the Alpha jets, we had the Jaguars at one time in the history of the service, and we have helicopter gunships, one of which is the Mi-35M, one of the most sophisticated helicopter gunships in the world today. It's been flown by our officers. In terms of training, we have expanded our training institutions. We have the Regiment Training Center, which is training regiment personnel for force protection, which was not existing, of course, in those days. In terms of other training institutions, you have the Air Force Institute of Technology, which is not only training Air Force personnel, but even civilians in various areas of engineering, technology, and so on. We also have a medical institution, a medical school in Kaduna that is currently training our nurses. So I think if we look at where we are coming from and where we are today, I think we have every reason to be proud of the achievement. We want to salute the founding fathers of the Air Force who laid the foundation upon which we've been able to add value to in the last 4.5 years.
The Nigerian Air Force has proved that it has indeed come of age in its 56 years history to emerge as a formidable force in Africa. This has only been possible through the efforts and commitment of the 19 past foreign and indigenous chief of the air staff, as well as officers, airmen and airwomen, seven and retired, who have dedicated their lives to serving this great nation through the Nigerian Air Force. Some of these patriots have paid the supreme price in service to our fatherland. To these heroes, the Nigerian Air Force owes a huge debt of gratitude. At 56, the Nigerian Air Force, under the leadership of the 20th Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, is driven by a vision to reposition the Nigerian Air Force into a highly professional and disciplined force through capacity building initiative for effective, efficient and timely employment of air power in response to Nigeria's national security imperatives. The dogged determination of the Chief of the Air Staff to achieve this vision has resulted in giant strides in the operations and activities of the service in the past 4.5 years of the current federal government administration. In the past 4.5 years, the Nigerian Air Force has expanded its force structure by creating new branches, new field commands, as well as several units.
We have 4 commands as of 2015. Now, presently, we have 6 commands. And the branch is also, we have 8 branches as of 2015. Presently, we have 10 branches. And these has improved the workings of the commands and the branches. We have also added units that have been established for the operation bases and quick response groups. And these have also enhanced the operational efficiency of the NAF.
The 2 new commands are the Special Operations Command, which is located in Bauchi, and the Ground Training Command, which is located in Enugu. These commands are purpose-driven to enhance service delivery by the Nigerian Air Force.
On coming in 2015, we carefully looked at the structure of the Air Force and realized that the structure at that time was not adequate for the kind of challenges that we are facing. For instance, in the past, whenever we have any internal security challenge, personnel were contributed from units. Sometimes we remove our technicians. And so we realized that, look, we need to have a different command, which is the Special Operations Command, that is regiment heavy, that can now be mobilized anytime to go out as our contribution to dealing with that internal security challenge. With the coming of the Special Operations Command, we have created quite a number of units now, quick response groups. In Ipetu, Ijesha, we have a quick response group. In Owerri, we have a quick response group. In Gusau, we have a quick response group. We have a detachment in Birnin-Gwari. We have quick response wing in Agatu in Benue State. We have another quick response group in Kerang in Plateau State. Another quick response group in Taraba State. There were a lot of internal security challenges in Taraba about a year or 2 years ago. So those guys are supporting the forces on ground. And you can see the way that these quick response units are spread all over the country, so that anywhere you want the Air Force to be part of anything, we simply task the unit close to that place.
Furthermore, in order to optimally man the new structure for more effective and efficient deployment of air power, the Nigerian Air Force embarked on massive recruitment resulting in the training of about 9,699 young Nigerians as airmen and airwomen and 916 as officers in the last 4.5 years. This has significantly boosted the capacity of the service to effectively curtail insecurity in the country, while also keying into the federal government's policy of job creation for young Nigerians.
Since we are aware of the key drivers of the Chief of Air Staff, so we draw up plans to meet up with the requirements for enlistment and recruitment. And we have been doing that so far without much stress.
The last 4.5 years has seen the unprecedented acquisition of platforms by the federal government.
We have been very lucky in the last 4.5 years or thereabout. The federal government, particularly the Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, has supported the Nigerian Air Force in terms of supporting our acquisition plans, platform acquisition plans. We also want to appreciate the National Assembly for appropriating the necessary resources and then passing the necessary laws that will enable us, or that enabled us, to acquire some of these platforms. We have acquired 22 right now. 22 have been inducted. You have 10 Super Meshach aircraft. When the current government came in, we had only about 3 trainer aircrafts. But now we have more than 15 of such trainer aircraft. 10 Super Meshach aircraft were acquired and inducted. We have 5 Mi-35Ms, helicopter gunships that were equally acquired. You have 2 Bell 412 helicopters that have been acquired and now inducted. We have 4 Agusta 109 power helicopters that were acquired in Italy, are equally inducted into the current operations. And then the last one, of course, is the Mi-171E helicopter, which was also equally inducted recently. So a total of 22 aircraft. In addition to that, we are expecting 16 additional platforms. The Super Tucano aircraft, we have 12. We are hoping to get into Nigeria very soon. We have 3 JF-17 multi-role fighter aircraft that is coming in, and we have an additional Mi-171, which is likely to come into the service very soon.
This is aside the 6 flyable aircraft that were handed over from other agencies of government. It is noteworthy that not since the early 1980s has such a large number of aircraft been acquired for the Nigerian Air Force by a single federal government administration. In addition, the Nigerian Air Force, with support from the federal government, has also reactivated over 20 previously grounded aircraft.
The Falcon was grounded, was not flying in 2015. The ATR-42, the 931 was grounded in Yola. The Beechcraft 203 had problems with landing gear on landing here in Abuja, was grounded. The MIs 35 Peace, 530, 531, and so many others that were in the past grounded were brought back to service. We have also done life extension program on 3 L-39 aircraft that are currently flying. So much has equally been done, not only in terms of acquisition, but in terms of reactivation. And that has equally built the capacity of our engineering personnel, getting them to work on these 20 aircraft. And another very unique feature of this effort is the fact that most of these reactivation, major maintenance activities were conducted locally in Nigeria. The C-130 aircraft, for the first time since they were acquired, we had the opportunity to do the periodic depot maintenance in Nigeria, in Ikeja. For the 917, that was the first one, and then the second one with the support of Pakistan Air Force, who were able to do the periodic depot maintenance here in Nigeria. That has given our technicians the opportunity to participate in stripping and reassembling the aircraft. What we simply did was to remove the major components such as engines, propellers and so on. Those ones were taken out for maintenance. But the actual PDM itself, the process the stage-by-stage process of how to do it, we were able to really learn from our partners, firstly Sabena, and then secondly the Pakistanis who were here with us. Apart from the C-130s, we have also done the PDM and upgrade of Alpha Jet in Kainji. We are working on 2 more Alpha Jets, and very soon I believe they will also be out flying. The Mi-35P, we have done PDM on one, the 531, which has been flying and is still flying. Then, of course, the live extension program on the L-39 was conducted equally locally in Nigeria, in Kano. All we did was to insist that our technical partners come into Nigeria with all they require.
The reactivation on the second Mi-35P has since been completed, and a test flight conducted in Port Harcourt. The aircraft is currently deployed for operations. Apart from saving the country the much-needed foreign exchange, the conduct of these major maintenance activities in-country has also helped to scale up the proficiency level of the Nigerian Air Force engineers and technicians.
There are so many aircraft maintenance capabilities we didn't have before that made us tend to outsource most of the maintenance to foreign vendors. Most of those capacity now we have. So we're able to do a lot of maintenance activities on our own in-country, even up to depot level. Even in the areas of many of our facilities that have been reactivated, our workshops are now functional. There's ongoing NDT workshops that are being rehabilitated, equipment have been purchased, people are being trained. So we've really gone a long way, and that is impacting, quite highly on our maintenance capability. So there are so many things we can do now that we would not have thought of before. And the Chief of Air Staff has also been very encouraging. It has been motivating the personnel through various training courses abroad, through promotions, appointments, and various activities that has helped personnel to be able to stand and venture out to do a lot of things that they have been afraid to do before.
To ensure that these aircraft remain available to conduct Nigerian Air Force operations, the service has in place a robust logistics support and maintenance system that has sustained platforms and equipment serviceability.
Nigerian Air Force in the last 4.5 years was able to reform the procurement system, imbibed international best practices, and through also prudent management of resources, we're able to have sufficient funds to acquire this equipment. This gave them the courage to make things available to us. So we had a lot of openings. Many sources of these spare parts now became available to us, to the extent that we could even do competitive bidding. We send out requests for quotations to different vendors. They gave us quotations, and we're able to select the one that gave us best value for money. This helped us to maximize the available resources.
This logistics support system has seen a rise in aircraft serviceability of operable aircraft from about 35% in 2015 to an average of 80% as at March 2020. The Nigerian Air Force in the last 4.5 years has invested greatly in research and development so as to develop capacity to surmount current and emerging security challenges. Some of the R&D breakthroughs recorded include the production of the first Nigerian Air Force indigenous operational unmanned area vehicle named Segumi, which was inducted into the Nigerian Air Force inventory by President Muhammadu Buhari in February 2018. Others are the receipt of patent rights for the production of unmanned ground vehicle, as well as the production of the hydraulic accumulator diaphragm for the Mi-35 helicopter, and more recently for the L-39ZA aircraft. The service also locally weaponized several platforms, including the Mi-17 helicopter, 2 Bell 412 helicopters, 2 EC-135 helicopters, L-39ZA trainer aircraft, and 3 Alpha Jet aircraft whose weapon systems were reconfigured to carry not just the Western Bloc rocket launchers, but also Eastern Bloc rocket launchers.
FRDC has been able to do a lot. We've been able to conduct weaponization of our platforms. Some of these platforms were given to us by civil organizations like the EC-135 and the Bell 412. The Nigerian Air Force, through research and development under the guidance of the Chief of the Air Staff, has been able to weaponize these aircraft for operational uses. Apart from that, we have designed and produced a hexacopter, which is at its final tests now, which is capable of dropping some payloads.
In addition, the Nigerian Air Force designed and produced a test bench for the Alpha Jet anti-skid system and locally produced 30.1mm rocket launcher and rockets, as well as heat shield protective cone for Alpha Jet rocket pods.
The focus of our research and development effort is to ensure that we are able to handle certain maintenance challenges. Therefore, in 2016, we established the Air Force Research and Development Center, which is located in Kaduna, and they are doing a good job. And we also entered, even prior to 2015, we had an MOU with about 15 Nigerian universities. University of Ibadan, Covenant University, ATBU, Ahmadu Bello University, University of Maiduguri, so many other universities. That has really helped us, and I want to say that we really appreciate the support from these universities. We believe that we have highly talented Nigerians in our tertiary institutions, and we are very, very happy to have this engagement with them and to also have them to really look at our maintenance, aircraft maintenance challenges and see how they can use their knowledge and experience. With our own technical officers, we have trained quite a number of guys, quite a number of officers in Cranfield University in the United Kingdom, some up to PhD level, some up to master's level, and we are building that pool of senior officers as well. So the essence, like I said, is to see how we can deal with some of these maintenance challenges. And sometimes what we usually do, if we have any maintenance challenge on any particular aircraft, we look at the competencies of all these institutions and write to invite where we think the competencies are and suggest to them that, look, why don't we form a team with our officers and you from the university? This is the challenge we're having with the Alpha Jet, or this is the challenge we're having with the MI. Can you look at it and try to come up with a homegrown solution? And I want to tell you that we have made substantial progress, and we are eternally grateful to Nigerian universities.
Another significant R&D feature is the fabrication of a GTC-85 auxiliary power unit test stand for the C-130 Hercules aircraft fleet. Being mindful of the primacy of the human being as an enabler and multiplier of other resources, the Nigerian Air Force has also focused on massive infrastructural development aimed at improving and sustaining the morale of personnel and their families.
Of all endowments, I think the human being is the most important. And that human being, you must, if you want that human being to be effective and to put in his or her best, you must do whatever you can to provide for the welfare of that human being. And accommodation, whether residential or office accommodation, is very important. A man or woman that spends a better part of the night trying to find sleep just because of how congested where the accommodation that they have is, cannot be effective the following morning. And that is why if you go to Maiduguri and other operational zones, we have tried with the support of the federal government, with the interventions we are getting, with the appropriation of funds and everything, to make sure that we, as much as possible, provide a substantially decent accommodation. Because that person is out to give his or her life. And therefore, if we want him to really be effective, like I said, you must ensure that you provide within available resources the best facilities. Recently, we had to create a hangar because we realized these guys were operating out in the open. And there's no way they can be effective if they are doing maintenance out just in the open. So we had to relocate a hangar from one of our units where we realized that that hangar is not being utilized fully and it can be better utilized in the Northeast. Relocated to that place. Now we have a huge hangar that can take 12 aircrafts. So these guys can go into the hangar inside a shed and do whatever maintenance work is required on any of the aircraft. And I'm telling you, in the last few days, from the reports coming to me now, with the hangar there now, is far better than working outside. You have a shelter over your head.
Yes, the Air Force has grown spontaneously to an estimate of about 10,000 taken to the Air Force in the past 1.5 years. But the ability to provide this accommodation is really outstanding in the midst of dwindling economy. We're able to provide accommodation for 4,000 people and above. We have been able to build over 32 structures as office structures in the entire Air Force. That's phenomenal. Wherever you go, you'll be amazed about this development. In terms of the ability in air police management, we have inducted the K9 squadron, where we have the military working dogs. These are new innovations that have actually given the air police a better capacity. We've established schools like the Air Police Training Center in Kerang. These are also facilities that have enhanced the capacity of the air police for forensic investigation. Hitherto, we didn't have that. And that alone supports national efforts in terms of crime and crime prevention.
You have people that are in the Northeast, their children are in secondary schools. We don't want a situation where people will go out, our airmen cannot afford school fees in other private schools and the rest. So we want to make sure that our schools are comparable to private schools, substantially comparable. And if you look at the accommodation, the dining, the curriculum of training, and everything in our facilities, I think with every sense of modesty, we can say that they are one of the best in the country. Go to Air Force Girls Comprehensive School here in Abuja. It's one of the best schools. You go to Air Force Girls Military School in Jos. Recently, we renovated the accommodation and make sure that the place is good. The whole idea is to send a message to our personnel that you have a place you can take your children to and be comfortable and continue to fight, knowing fully well that the educational needs of your children have been adequately taken care of by the Nigerian Air Force.
The provision of healthcare services has been a major priority of the Chief of the Air Staff since he assumed office in 2015. Accordingly, the sector has witnessed major transformations. Worthy of mention is the establishment of 3 new reference hospitals in Bauchi, Port Harcourt, and Daura, and the establishment of new cancer screening centers in Bauchi, Kaduna, Maiduguri, and Makurdi. A new state-of-the-art modular theater has also been installed at the 465 Nigerian Air Force Hospital in Kano. Why a new aeromedical wing, accident and emergency department, as well as officers' ward have been in place at the 063 Nigerian Air Force Hospital, Abuja.